Good evening and welcome to the Psychic Coffee Shop. I'm Aeson Knight, and of course I'm with the techiest and the most co-hosted, Techy Joe. How are you, baby?
I'm doing well. How are you this evening?
Dealing, it's injection week, which always screws everything up. But Thursday I'll feel better.
Yes, we will get you there.
Yep.
At least it's predictable, and it is a
Mhm.
fair trade-off. Like one crappy week, and it is truly crappy week.
Right.
Versus then the rest of a quarter you're good.
Yep.
And then like the end of the quarter is a little dodgy, but it's time for the next injection.
Exactly.
Versus like if
Mhm.
you did like continuously without, yeah, no,
Yeah, I'm miserable.
that's just
Alexa, turn on entryway.
lot of intermittent issues there.
There we go.
Yay.
We will see.
So yeah, it'll get better. It'll get better.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah, and I'm waiting for my new allergy med to kick in because I'm allergic to Anna. It is actually on record now. I'm allergic to cats somehow.
Well, you're actually waiting for new med delivery.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, then we got to wait for the kick in, which normally with because what they prescribe for you, I've taken it before.
Mm-hmm.
And it actually it takes a couple of days to build up, but then it should be good.
Cool.
So, yeah, it's pretty quick. Now there's another version of that med. We'll go ahead and talk about it. It's Allegra.
Mm-hmm.
Now thankfully, and I was scared he was going to say Allegra D, and I was going to be like, oh hell no.
Right.
For those of you that don't know, Allegra D, I believe, actually has a black box warning. Don't quote me on that.
Mm-hmm.
If it doesn't, it should.
Right.
It should. Because it can really screw with your brain.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's something about the decongestant that it is. Whoo. Like the Allegra is fine. Allegra's fine. Don't
Mm-hmm.
stop taking your Allegra. Don't freak out about your Allegra. But the Allegra D has issues.
Right.
You'll know quickly if you have that issue. I can't take it.
Oh.
Like I like it, and it's for me. I described it as a horribly intrusive thought.
Mm-hmm.
And actually described it to the doctor that way. Is I know this isn't real.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like this isn't me.
Mm-hmm.
But like I would have I would just basically set and just have this random thought that I could unalive myself with that, and here's how I would do it. And just look at random things or see random things and think that.
Mm-hmm.
And this was within like the first week. And I called my doctor and I was like, I don't think I'm going to be able to take this med. And I start describing this because I'm like, I'm having some really odd, intrusive thoughts, and I can only assume that it's the med. And he's like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we're going to stop that now.
Yeah.
Like it is a legitimate, known side effect.
Mm-hmm.
But the weird part is like, it's so clear that it's like, how to word it? Like, it's really like, there's no good way to say it. It feels manufactured.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like a commercial runs in your brain.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just really dark and disturbing.
Right.
But it's like, this isn't my own, so to speak, thought.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, it's just this random utterance
Mm-hmm.
kind of moment where it's like, what the hell is that?
Right. Well, and there's a lot of things that go on there. There's a lot of things that, and yes, what my doctor and my medical team believe is occurring is because apparently I've been gluten intolerant all my life. It just reached a level where I didn't have the tolerance for gluten anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And now that we've gotten that under control and I've been really good not to gluten myself, my body is no longer focused on that one allergy.
Yeah.
So now it's got time to pick the other ones.
Well, I would also argue that like there is a little bit of a difference between an intolerance and an allergy. And typically with an intolerance, you get a really high histamine level, and it becomes your normal. Like you're just sitting there. So it almost sort of acts a little bit like an armor. And so when you get rid of like one like situation, which is what I'm going to call the gluten intolerance, you cut the gluten out of your body, all of a sudden all your allergies come out to play because you're actually hitting a point where you're not overloaded with histamine, and then you're spiking, and it's worse.
Right.
Like you may have had a little bit of a problem and not really noticed it over the years that, well, I get around the cat and I sniff a little and, maybe my eyes water a little. You didn't think much about it. It's just like, maybe I'm allergic to cats, or maybe I'm, whatever. Or you don't think about it at all.
Right.
Then to turn around, you eat the gluten out a window. And all of a sudden, it's like, no, you went from 0 to 100 to 0 to 100. And it's like, I'm allergic to the cat.
Yeah. Heavily allergic to the cat. So me and her are not on good terms today. It's her time of the year. And I'm her favorite at the moment. Yeah. And it's like, get away from me.
Yeah.
So there's that going on. But no, like the injections do funny, weird shit and annoy me weirdly. So we're going to see how it goes. If we go to break, we go to break, and we'll be right back in a few moments, that type of thing.
Oh, yeah.
And the other announcement that Patreon's got through a video on the way back is that Mountain Bears will be on Thursday night this week because I have an SO wedding to do.
Yes, Second Life weddings. Got
Yay.
to them. Yes, it's going to be wonderful. We're so excited for that opportunity because we love going to a Second Life wedding. Even better, you get to officiate a Second Life wedding.
I know, right? And we had to clarify because I do have the ability in the state that the Soviets are in to legally do it. And it's like, so do I need to file court records? And they're like, no. And I'm like, okay, just need to make sure I'm not looking for a certified male.
Yeah. Well, and sometimes it's really hard to explain to people, especially outside of like, the like virtual worlds, is that like people and their avatar will have whole, and I know Second Life, but will have whole independent identities and lives and like tastes and preferences and whatever. And so they may have someone that they date or partner inside the game that is not like that relationship doesn't really occur outside the game. Or it can be like, say, a boyfriend, girlfriend, friend, whatever relationship. And while their avatars experience the whole wedding, it can often be like a trial run to see if things change, how well they do over time, and whether like a real life meetup even ever occurs.
Well, but with this couple, real life meetups have occurred. Real life is occurring at the same time as Second Life is. They just are in a long distance relationship. So that was a valid question.
Oh yeah. It is. So, but no, it's interesting how like that works out. And like some of the relationship dynamics, like in game versus like real world. Yeah.
Well, it's like me and you. I'm finding that we are not. We used to be an anomaly.
Where you used to be an anomaly?
Yeah, in Second Life.
Okay. Oh, the actual partners in the same house that are partnered on Second Life. Both of us are in game.
And
We actually have anything to do with each other.
Exactly. So we used to be the odd couple, and now more couples are joining the world. We have a lot of couples that don't that are living long distance, and they have real life in Second Life.
Yeah, well, which is how our like I brought you in,
Yeah.
because I'm like, if we're doing the long distance thing,
Mm-hmm.
like we have an opportunity, like we can spend some time in Second Life. I can show you around Second Life. I think you'll like it.
Mm-hmm.
But it gives us an opportunity to actually be together
Uh-huh.
and go to and do things
Mm-hmm.
before
Mm-hmm.
or while we're in this long distance period.
Right.
And start getting a taste or get a feel of what someone's taste and preferences are, what their
Mm-hmm.
schedule's like, what it is to
Mm-hmm.
coordinate with them. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's validity here. That does it make up for like living together? No. But it can be like a little bit of an indicator like how that's gonna run.
Right.
Because typically,
Mm-hmm.
unless you have a like really deeply invested in producing a totally different persona
Mm-hmm.
gamer, um what you get in world is what you get out of world.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same person. You just may not get the same depth.
Depending on the connections, depending on the people. But what I just find it hilarious. So me and Techie normally do the same things, go to the same things. We're the standard couple.
Yeah.
Except Techie doesn't go to fights, and I'm getting ready to start fighting in Crimea.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're enjoying like some of the like, and I've been afraid of it.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so explaining really, really quickly. So there's a thing with like games inside of games, which is what
Mm-hmm.
most of Second Life's going to be. It's games and relationships and communication and situation, all this
Mm-hmm.
inside
Mm-hmm.
of the game. So one of the things is breedables,
Mm-hmm.
and an offshoot of that is fights, where you
Mm-hmm.
take two breedables and they basically do what I understand of it. Is sort of like when you
It's Digiman.
okay. So if that means anything to anyone, I was thinking it's sort of like the little battles that you have for a lot of games
Mm-hmm.
where you have so many character points and then they fight each other. Or yeah, Pokemon. That's probably a good representation,
Mm-hmm.
sort of, for the fight side of it.
Right.
So yeah, you have kind of that trainer relationship, like you do things to grow them, like
Mm-hmm.
all of this.
Right.
And then you can cross-pollinate them and get different ones, and
Right.
yeah. So that's a whole offshoot. And I stayed away from it
Mm-hmm.
because like at first it was like, oh cool, what's that? I don't like, and everyone, thankfully people told me that's expensive, you don't want to do that. And I'm like, okay. And so I steered clear of it forever, and then got more recently introduced to what breedables were,
Mm-hmm.
became all this. And oh yeah, it's addictively expensive. Or can be.
Can
Can
be.
be.
Can be if you
Like,
have to have, and if you don't want to do the work.
well, or even if you're doing the work,
Mm-hmm.
like you have to do things, like you
Mm-hmm.
have to have space for them to do their growth and
Right.
whatever. Like you have to create a little stable, little storage
Uh-huh.
area, and let them do their thing.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah,
Mm-hmm.
like some of the biggest breeders, and it's very lucrative. You can make a lot of linden off of it.
Mm-hmm.
Selling, like if you get really invested in the breeding, you can get a lot of money for the end result.
Right.
If you sell them off.
Right.
But anyway, so Sorry, trying to condense down. The net result being I saw myself not really caring about like fights and all this. I figured I'm gonna go nuts over the actual breedable system and like generating, and everyone that I know that does that
Right.
gets really, really invested, and it gets really expensive really quickly because now you have to have your own sim
We
to
have
go
that.
play with your breedables. Well, but dedicated to them. It is everyone I've seen that does this and goes deep on the breedable side, and it's like, oh, see, that's going to get expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, my friends do dinosaur breeding on Arc or something like that. They make real world money off it because people pay them to train the basics and a few other levels, and then they take over. See where your money's going to go quick on breedables in Second Life is that sim.
Right.
That's like $300 and up per month. And so you've got to be able to create breedables that are worth selling. And there are many that do in the system that sell, and you can make your $300 a month and more.
Yes.
Yeah.
A friend of ours. Hello, Lady Gwen.
Hi, Gwen.
I got a notice today that someone came visiting our island. Hi, baby girl. Hope to see you at the parties. Just remember that one Aeson is not the same Aeson as the other Aeson.
She's on a horse.
I know.
It's so adorable.
Yep. But, it will be fun. It is fun. So that'll be cool. But no, yeah. So next season, I'm hoping to have my 4 animals up for fighting. There's a person in Second Life that I'm not going to name that is annoyed me.
Oh, okay. So you got
so now I have skin into the game, and I want a trophy to settle my mantle in the coffee shop.
Good deal. Good deal. Okay. I mean, there's many reasons people do things. And sometimes
it is. I started DJing, and that's how I started dancing just to have fun. And then I upgraded to hosting, and then a DJ pissed me off, and I'm like,
I can do better.
I can do better.
Yeah.
That seems how SL Aeson works.
That's how real life Aeson works. Someone throws down a gauntlet, and you pour gravy on it.
I would say hot sauce, but that's just me.
Either way. But no. No, that's there's a lot of either it's so bad. It's just so bad. Like anyone could do better than this. That will pull you in.
No, there's sometimes people just throw enough shade that I'm like, all right, you got that. Here you go.
And why do you want to open a shop?
Oh, a real coffee shop?
Well, a real metaphysical shop.
Let's see. There isn't enough around here. People are selling shit for stupid prices. I'm sick of crappy supplies, and I'm tired of people buying like bullshit, overpriced bullshit.
And that's what I'm saying. It's the same thing as you like, and granted, it's professionally tangential. But you're sitting here looking at it effectively going, I think I can do better. Like, like this, and it's not every shop, and granted, every shop's going to have its quirks and its problems and its blind spots. Like, there's no business that isn't. But specifically, you've been really, really frustrated by like a lot of shops, especially ones that have already long since gone out of business. Mostly because of their problems. And you're just sitting back going, I could have done better with that. Or
Right.
it was better when I was there. It was also in business when I was there.
And making a profit.
Yeah. And then I left, then their profits dropped. And then it's like, I did better. Yeah.
Yeah. Which that brings up something that we'll talk about in psychic advice. But let's dig into some things.
Yes. So going local for our current conditions, travel plans disrupted and roads in the process of clearing during Winter Storm Blair. Gotta love WOAY. I love this quote. Well, Mother Nature pretty well threw the kitchen sink at us last night, said Jimmy Riston, West Virginia DOT secretary. Winter Storm Blair has been barreling through the country, bringing lots of snow and ice to the region. While the wet snow can bring some wintry fun, like a good old snowball fight, it makes the roads very slick and dangerous to drive on, which can put a dent in your travel plans. We have certainly seen that here. So I'm not going to go all the way through this one.
Right.
We know we're under snow and ice. I will say this storm particularly, the ice content has been the biggest issue. Like the snow is snow, like plows and some salt, you can clear that shit out of the way. Like the snow content hasn't been the biggest problem. The biggest issue for our local area, at least, has been the freezing rain, the sleet, and that little bump we had Monday morning right before slamming back down into a polar plunge of temperatures. Those two combined, because one, it starts to melt the snow just in turn to refreeze it.
Right.
Then we're getting frozen shit on top of it.
Right.
So basically everything out there, while right now some of the most recent is kind of fluffy, there's a crunchy candy coating that ain't going anywhere. And even the roads in our area are, I would definitely be confident saying they're pretty much 4-wheel drive required.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Full coverage. Well, let's upgrade that, because I know there's a lot of things I can do on a 2-wheel that most people can't. They are full coverage required.
Well, they're definitely full coverage. Like full coverage is your best plan. Like please have your full coverage. Like consider it strongly if you go to leave the house. But 4-wheel drive, I will certainly say this is not optional at this point.
Wow.
Like, not that 4-wheel drive technically does a lot on ice. But the conditions of the road, like, I don't know that you're getting many places in a 2-wheel drive, or you're not going to get stuck in most places in 2-wheel drive.
Right.
That's where, yay for our 4-wheel drive.
Exactly. The Ghost has done well, but at the same time, it's like watching people drive yesterday, because I haven't left the house today. I'll be honest, I probably won't leave the house until at least Thursday. It was like, do you know what you're driving in? Do you know how you're driving? Why are you trying to be an idiot? Are you from Florida?
Well, my biggest problem with the drivers yesterday, in particular, and I think it was some of what I was seeing tonight, because drove past a couple accidents while I was out, because we had to take the Invisible to work. Most of what I'm seeing right now is the plows are doing really good to keep one lane open on a 2-lane road.
Right.
And that's in either direction.
Right.
So you're mostly getting a path down the middle.
Right.
Or they're sticking to one particular lane, usually the slow lane. And a lot of the problems are having, or people are having, is they're getting impatient.
Right.
And or they're judging the totality of the road by the one very clear lane. And in their impatience and their so far ability to drive at 50 miles an hour with or more without a problem, thinking that they can pass in that less cleared lane, without any problems.
Mm-hmm.
And mostly what we're seeing is that less cleared lane is pretty much glass,
Mm-hmm.
wet glass at that.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're very quickly testing the assumption and finding out they are wrong,
Right.
with some, varying levels of disastrous results.
Yes.
Yeah.
And just as a reminder, let your car do the work, drop that transmission low, and let it go at the speed it wants to go at. And your brake is not your friend. You treat
Well,
it kind of like
it's
a first date, slow and
yeah.
steady.
Well, it's crockpot driving weather. Low and
Right.
slow, low and slow, low speed
Mm-hmm.
and slow actions.
Mm-hmm.
Most of what we've seen, or what I assume is going to be the problems that cause what we've seen,
Mm-hmm.
are knee-jerk reactions, overcorrections,
Mm-hmm.
and attempting to back off of the gas too quickly or slam on the brakes,
Right.
neither of which are your friend. Like, if you slam on your brakes in ice and snow, you will
Mm-hmm.
slide.
Right.
That is more of a problem than, coming down from 30 miles an hour and anything that would result therein. So
Right.
you don't jerk the wheel, you don't slam on the brakes, you watch let off slowly and accelerate slowly.
Mm-hmm.
So slow and steady, either which way you're going, speeding up or slowing down, slow and
Mm-hmm.
steady. And don't freak out if you do start to slide.
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't jerk, don't, just let it happen.
Mm-hmm.
Typically the feeling of sliding makes you think it's a lot worse than it is.
Right.
So you have to kind of temper that reaction and go, okay, we're
Mm-hmm.
sliding,
Mm-hmm.
take a breath, and then slow it all down.
Right. All right. So traveling, it got a little bit easier.
It did. So West Virginia now has app access and digital identification. So yeah, and out of that, West Virginia digital ID is now accepted at various airports nationwide. So those with a West Virginia issued mobile driver's license can now use their digital ID at specially equipped airports nationwide. The Transportation Security Administration, TSA, announced in a release Tuesday that travelers can use the West Virginia mobile ID app on their smartphone as an alternative form of ID at any TSA checkpoint with digital ID readers, which includes West Virginia International, Yeager Airport, and Huntington Tri-State Airport. The digital ID readers include a camera that captures a photo of the traveler to match their ID, which is afterwards cleared by a TSA officer, then deleted. The units are also able to verify that an individual is ticketed for air travel that day, so the traveler does not need to show a boarding pass to the TSA officer, although a boarding pass is needed to present to the airline gate agent. The mobile ID app is available to all state residents at no additional cost, though the user must have a West Virginia issued license, permit, or non-driver ID card. The release said that mobile ID users should still carry some form of acceptable ID just in case. So while we have the app,
Mm-hmm.
don't go throwing away your driver's license. Don't go
Right.
throwing out your passport. You still need it,
Mm-hmm.
but you can, generally speaking, clear
Right.
most airports and situations with it.
Right.
So very awesome. Oh no. So Shannon says, I forgot to save it, but I saw a TikTok of a lady who was freaking out, hanging halfway out of her car, and another car slid into her and knocked her out of her car. Oh my goodness.
Mm.
Yeah, please be careful.
Right.
Your car in an accident, unless there is a barreling semi-truck, is the safest place for you. And even with a barreling semi-truck, may still be the safest place for you.
Right.
Keep that key on. Let the airbags work.
Mm-hmm. So coming in from She Knows, I think we need to start a riot.
Do what now?
I think we need to start a riot.
Oh, yes, you're starting a riot. Oh, my God. So She Knows brings us these two beloved Girl Scout cookie flavors will be retired this year. So although the arrival of Girl Scout cookie season is always welcome, there's sad news to report in the world of Girl Scout cookies. Two beloved flavors are retiring at the end of 2025. But fear not, when one cookie retires, it makes room for new cookie flavors to take the spotlight. If you're a fan of Girl Scout s'mores and Toastier cookies, now is the time to start stockpiling and enjoying them before they're gone forever. So, of course, the s'mores are a crunchy graham sandwich cookie with chocolate and marshmallow filling, and Toastier cookies, which are toast-shaped cookies that taste like French toast.
Yes.
Yes.
Toastiers.
Shannon is apparently fine because Samoas are identical to Coconut Delights from Keebler, and they're just softer.
Okay.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. It'll work in a pinch.
Mm-hmm.
It'll work in a pinch. So yeah. I'm always been a fan of the Thin Mints, which I don't think they're going to kill that one.
If they do, they will have a riot.
They would. Like, Girl Scouts know their limits.
They should know their limits. All right. So the Justice Department is cracking down.
Oh, I did want to finish this real quick. So they're being replaced by a brownie-inspired Adventurefuls and gluten-free chocolate caramel chip.
That might be interesting.
There you go. Oh, so Shannon only liked the Samoas and trefoils, and I've found year-round options that are way better, and I used to sell them. There you go.
Yeah.
Not me, her. Sorry. I am not selling Girl Scout cookies.
I don't know. We may hawk some because one of my nibblings is a Girl Scout. So I don't know. We may throw a link up now that you can order them anywhere in the world and have them delivered to you.
Nice. Oh, Shannon wants to know, Aeson, do you have any dock plants around your house? I don't know if it's gluten-free, but a flour option for flatbreads, if so.
I don't have any dock plants, but I'm going to look into that because we're going to be redoing the beds this year.
Oh, very cool.
Ooh,
all right.
Interesting. All right. So the Justice Department is up to some shenanigans with 6 major landlords.
Yes. So U.S. Justice Department accuses 6 major landlords of scheming to keep rents high. So out of Denver and the Associated Press, the U.S. The U.S. Justice Department is suing several landlords for allegedly coordinating to keep Americans' rents high by using both an algorithm to help set rents and privately sharing sensitive information with their own competitors to boost profits. The lawsuit arrives as U.S. renters continue to struggle under a merciless housing market, with incomes failing to keep up with rental increases. The latest figures showing that half of American renters spend more than 30% of their income on rent and utilities in 2022, an all-time high. Oh, and that's even 2 years behind data. That means exhausting day-to-day decisions between medications, groceries, school supplies, and rent. It means eviction notices and protracted court cases in which children face the highest eviction rates, with 1.5 million evicted each year, according to Princeton University's Eviction Lab. While the housing crisis has been assigned several causes, including a slump in homes built over the last decade, the Justice Department's lawsuit claims major landlords are playing a part. The department, along with 10 states, including North Carolina, Tennessee, Colorado, and California, is accusing 6 landlords that collectively operate more than 1.3 million units in 43 states and the District of Columbia of scheming to avoid lowering rents. The landlord, Greystar Real Estate Partners LLC, a defendant in the case, declined a request for comment from the Associated Press, but published an unsigned statement on its websites. Quote, Greystar has and will conduct its business with the utmost integrity. At no time did Greystar engage in any anti-competitive practices, the statement read. We will vigorously defend ourselves in this lawsuit. The lawsuit accuses the landlords of sharing sensitive data on rents and occupancy with competing firms via email, phone calls, or in groups. The information shared included renewal rates, how often they accept an algorithm's price recommendation, the use of concessions such as offering 1 month free, and even their approach to pricing for the next quarter. The Justice Department said one of the 6 landlords agreed to cooperate with prosecutors. The proposed settlement would restrict how the company can use their competitors' data and algorithms to set rents. So, quote, today's action against RealPage and 6 major landlords seeks to end their practice of putting profits over people and make housing more affordable for millions of people across the country, said Doa Mika, the acting assistant attorney general for the department's antitrust division, in Tuesday's press release. So did they actually accuse them of in antitrust?
Yep.
Like, they seem to be doing like a lot with this article to avoid like certain keywords.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so this is an antitrust suit and they're alleging collusion.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh. And the Associated Press is doing everything not to say those words.
Right.
Oh.
Well, what I find interesting, and granted, it's been more than 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
I just looked to see if the apartment was for rent.
Pardon now?
All right, I used to rent an apartment, and I was looking to see if it was still for rent. When I moved into it in 2000, it was $350. Do you want to guess? And they have not made any upgrades to this apartment. What it's renting for?
Oh, I have no idea at this point.
$1,100 a month.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, sounds about right. Yep, yeah. Like it's freakish. It is completely freakish.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's no way around it. I really hate the fact that a lot of these sites really don't let you know. Like, you literally have to go and talk to them. And I wonder how much of that is because the landlords are no longer committing to putting a price.
Well, I think that it's more than just the landlords failing to commit a price. I feel like that there should be a formula for it.
Well, theoretically there is, but in a lot of like there is like a market value.
Right.
But it sounds like a lot is being done to prevent anything from bringing, and that's what this suit alleges, is they're working together to avoid impacts to market value. Like, basically try to keep the rent as high as humanly possible. That, like, at no point are we gonna rent lower to fill more units.
Right.
It's worth more to us all.
Right.
Like, taking the loss on market value in terms of not getting the rent is better than.
All right, so this is interesting. So I comparatively went and looked at townhouses. We bought a townhouse in Columbus. So I know what they were valued at, just to see what the renting price was for the one next door to us. In Oak Hill, West Virginia, the $350 apartment is $1,100. Okay, and that was plus utilities. In Columbus, Ohio, Barclay Square, just out off of Short North. You know, we were part of Whitehall Short North area. I can be buying the townhouse for $1,092 a month, and that is a 3-bedroom full basement.
Oh wow, my former apartment complex is not even listing units.
Yeah.
Jesus. I wonder though if, because see, they seem to have potentially lost. Oh no, there's the where. Oh wow. Yeah, they've yanked their website and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. That's funny. That's funny. Because they have 2 different apartments. They're identical. One's in Durham, one's in Raleigh. And I remember then, like 2010, my apartment was $650 a month in Durham. The apartment in Raleigh, identical. The literal only difference between these 2 apartment complexes was our buildings were yellow sided and the other units were blue sided. That's it. Total same amenities, same layout, same floor plan, same everything. Identical apartment complexes. Okay, those units were renting, because they're in Raleigh, North Carolina, back then for $1,800 a month. I can't even imagine. Like, I figure $1,800 a month is the bare minimum the Durham apartment would be. Bare minimum. Like, it's probably $2,200 a month for a 1-bedroom apartment, 600 square feet, 1-bedroom apartment. I can't even begin to imagine how expensive the one in Raleigh is. Like, can't even imagine.
Did they sell our apartments?
Possibly. Oh, they're saying they're permanently closed? What?
Yeah, they've sold their apartments.
Yeah, so apparently my former apartment complex is dead. That's 2 now. What the hell?
Yeah, because I'm sitting here trying to find it, and it's like non-available.
Yeah. Well, because the first apartment I had, they bulldozed it years ago. Like, I got a friend of mine messaged me, and I was like, "Oh, big shocker!" Like, that apartment complex was, like, when I moved in, was like 50 some years old. And it, like, reflected a whole different era, and they had not maintained it well. Like, we basically had a slumlord. That's the in and out of it.
Yeah.
And so a lot of problems were there, and they still expected their $550 a month, wanted to go up to $750 for me. That's when I moved. I was like, no way in hell I'm paying you motherfuckers $700 and something for this.
All right.
Like, no ma'am, no ma'am. Like, we have those concrete and metal frame stairs. Yeah, one of the stairs collapsed. I don't mean a stair collapsed. I mean the whole thing just plunk, and it sat like that for a year.
Right.
Like, it was nuts. I'm glad we had a second staircase. That was a miracle.
All right. Yeah, the premium apartments right now are going for $5,000 a month.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can buy a house for that in Greensboro.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. And deal with a lot of things.
Oh, let's see. I want to see something real fast because I had friends. Speaking of Greensboro, that I've kind of always, Oh, it's probably changed names, hasn't it? Yeah, it's changed names.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, maybe it's not Camden Park. Maybe that's my problem. Camden Glen. I had friends who lived over there.
Mm-hmm.
It was one of the more affordable apartments in Greensboro.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was nice apartment, nice neighborhood, nice. Yeah, it's Camden Glen. Camden Glen is permanently closed.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus. Oh wow. Like I think this is a large part of what's happening and why the housing market's so effed up.
Yeah, I think it is. I also think that it's the reason is because they've been bought out. Yeah.
Well, and they may have been bought out and changed names, and that's I very much accept that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's fine.
Right.
And that's why I can't find them. I think some of them have been sold or just been closed. Like I'm wondering how many apartment complexes are just sitting empty right now.
Uh-huh.
Or they took a wrecking ball to them and went, haha, we'll make more money over here.
I don't know. Like,
Because lower availability is higher rent for everyone.
Greensboro,
Especially
North
when you can sit there and
Carolina.
claim it's a more modern apartment complex. Like, I think a lot of these like complexes that got put up in the 80s are getting knocked down in the 2020s.
No. Like, I'm looking at the apartment on Zillow, not Zillow, on Google Earth. It's still standing as of 2 years ago.
Okay.
It's just been changed names.
Okay. Oh, yeah. So my former apartment complex has changed names. My last one, the Avenues. My God. What? Yeah. Yeah, and they won't give pricing.
Right.
But yeah, comparable units are around 1,200 to 1,900. So it's about what I thought. It tripled
Mm-hmm.
from 2010 to today.
Right.
So 15 years. I mean, we expect rates to go up. Don't get me wrong. I'm
Right.
not saying no one should ever make more money as on a unit. Like I don't expect an apartment from the 1950s to still be charging 1950s rent. Now,
Mm-hmm.
it would help if income went up to
Mm-hmm.
help make that affordable.
Mm-hmm.
Hint, hint, listening, anyone out there, please bring income up.
Well, and I'm like, how? Working a standard work job, working the job that I used to do, there's no
Mm-hmm.
way I could have afforded that apartment now.
Oh no. No, I get like, oh my God. Assuming I still made, hold on.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's no, I can already tell you no. There's no way.
Mm-hmm.
Because like if I were because let's assume my income might have gone up 10%.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe. So we'll take what I literally left making,
Right.
multiply it by 1.10.
Right.
All right, that gets me to 41.5 a year.
Mm-hmm.
Because remembering when I left, they were in hiring freeze and wage freeze.
Right.
So unlikely I would have even gotten the 10% in
Right.
this whole span. So divide by 12.
Mm-hmm.
So assuming the low end of 1,800
Right.
or the mid range of about 1,800.
Right.
I wouldn't even qualify for the apartment
Right.
because I don't have 3 times the rent.
Right.
And it would leave me, it would be over 50% of what I made.
Mm-hmm.
And it would leave me with like $1,665 a month.
Right.
Like, there's no way. Like, just deducting out base expenses,
Mm-hmm.
there's no way. I would not be able to survive.
Right.
Like, point blank, there's no way.
Right.
And I think that's the missing part of the equation is we have landlords that have literally bought property to make money. And I'm not necessarily against that. Please understand. I'm not against someone owning property and being a landlord. Not against that. I'm totally cool with that. But there is a tendency towards a mentality that the prices are only going to keep going up.
Right.
And then there doesn't seem to be any temperance of the idea of at what point do you think you run out of tenants that will pay you?
Right.
Like at what point? And then the general idea being that you can support that by just leaving units vacant. Like, and it is a known strategy to leave spaces vacant. This is why your local mall is failing. They can continue to carry the property and take the loss on the non-rentability of it, on its unrented status, and prop up their ability to borrow because of the property value at that market rate that they can't rent it at.
Right.
Versus if they drop the rent to attract customers, they devalue their property.
Right.
So basically, if they can pump every unit up to say $3,000 a month from 500, and then not rent those units, they make more off of the lowered occupancy than they would if they brought the prices down to a more marketable level.
Well, and then you add in the additional BS of application fees, credit report fees.
First, last, and a security deposit, not or.
Right.
No ors. There are no.
Right.
Like we've seen that. We've seen that in articles. We've seen that brought up by people that there is no or. Like it's first, last, and security deposit, outrageous application fees. A lot of pass on of like background check fees and credit check fees and anything else they want to do.
Right.
As well as some wild agreements. Like the contracts have gotten crazy.
Right.
Like it's nuts. Like
it's very nuts. Yeah.
Oh.
Like even like I'm looking at if I wanted to take off and move to Columbus, I've got to have $1,000 rent for a studio. And I'm not going to be able to live in a studio.
Your clothes can't live in a studio.
This is why like I keep looking at off-grid and tiny houses because my next house is going to be a tiny house. Point blank, that's what I'm buying.
Yeah, Shannon says we each get a studio. Which is not far off my tiny house theory.
No.
But no, I think we're even shooting past that because there was a time to get into the tiny house movement. And I think we're beyond it. I think now it has gotten so commercial that yeah, we each get a tiny house too. But no, I think there was a moment that people could do that. There was a window. Now I think it's shot past.
See, I don't, but I also think that I don't need to spend $92,000 on a tiny house. Okay, I can easily get and do the shed tiny house that I want to do, and build it my way. And I'm thinking maybe $20,000 a piece.
Possibly. Like sometimes it gets a little weird there, depending upon if you're slab build or like if you're slab setting, or if you're going to have to leave it on wheels because of local ordinance galore.
We'll see. That's again why it's like Berkeley Springs, you know,
Mhm.
I can drop 20,000 and have the tiny house that I want, the tiny office that I want.
Yeah, Shannon's thinking more like 35
Right. Right.
each.
Right.
So we start moving, but like, which in my head immediately equates to, well, you basically bought a house at that point, but right now you can't even buy a
No.
bedroom for that.
No.
Like not at current pricing.
Right.
And yeah, like, so but the fact that we're there, the fact that that's like the what median right now for a new car, like what is the median on a new car? I think it's around 35. Oh no. Currently the average price of a new car in the US is currently $48,000.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but we should all be relieved that's down from 49,507 in 2022.
Right. Well,
Ugh.
let's talk to Zillow a moment because we like Zillow.
Yeah, we like Zillow. Yeah, even Shannon was like, I was going to say more like 50. Like, the fact that I'd come up to 35, like, still somewhere in my head is 20,000 for a new car is a nice car.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really nice car. It's stuck in my brain.
Well, granted, the housing comps right now in our area are down a little. We've had a few houses not sell at the best price, but that's because it's gone to family. Currently, the house we live in,
Mm-hmm.
$98,600.
Mm-hmm.
Grab my lovely calculator because I remember to the penny.
It's basically $90 a square foot.
Basically,
I think
$89
that's what
right
that
now.
was.
We're down 3,000 for the last 30 days.
No, I mathed wrong. What is that? So 98,000 divided by
Right.
900, $108 a square foot.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're in an older neighborhood with houses that
Mm-hmm.
are sub 1,000,
Right.
meaning sub 1,000 square feet. I think the average house is currently built at almost double that.
Right.
Um,
All right. So I remember my closing costs and everything. Like I said, I remember how much I paid for this house down to the last penny on the paperwork. This house is currently valued $81,240 past what I paid for it.
mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, and I'm wrong. The current average size of a new home built in the United States
Mm-hmm.
is 2,687 square feet.
Right.
2,600 square feet, people.
Right.
Like, how much do y'all hate each other?
Yeah.
2,600 square feet.
Right.
Like, don't get me wrong. I would love some additional square footage in this house. Like, it'd be amazing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like add a couple bedrooms, I'd be thrilled.
Mm-hmm.
Like as in the amount of space, I would be thrilled.
Right.
But 2,600 square feet, almost 2,700 square feet.
Right.
Really? Y'all need that?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what the hell?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what are y'all doing? Like, what are you doing? Like, because granted, our house was built what in the 50s?
1957.
Yeah. Like, so we're a sub 1,000.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and we're 3 people and 2 pets.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I like really I'll need 20, like that's a lot of square footage. That is double
Right.
over, like almost 3 times our square footage.
Right.
Is that square? Hold on, has to do math. Almost triple the size of our house
Mm-hmm.
is the new average.
Right.
Like, oh my God. I'd get tired of screaming.
Right.
Like, I would actually use the hers. Like, right now we do it as a joke.
Right.
Please report to the dining room. I would have to in 2,700 square feet. I couldn't yell that much.
I don't know why we need 2,700 square feet. This has been my whole thing whenever we've looked at moving. These houses are enormous. And it's like, I don't want to pay that damn heating bill. Alone the heating bill, the water bill. Why do I need a formal dining room when I could do good to get you to the table?
I know, right? I think what you're seeing a lot of is that the houses aren't that much bigger in actual outside space. I think a lot of what we're seeing with that 2,700 square foot is, or near, we're just going to call it 2,700 square foot, is 1,300 foot stacked on top of itself. We're seeing a lot more 2 stories.
Right.
Like, I think that's the ultimate version of that.
Right.
Oh, the kids cheered like we were going to Disneyland when I told them they could turn the temp up to 72. I love it.
No. All right, so let's see why you're the asshole this week.
All right, so let's see. There we go. Let me get there. Uh-oh. I have to go back and get it. I apparently accidentally closed it. Ta-da! Am I the asshole for not getting real food and causing my friend's husband to sell his stuff? I'm 20. My friend is 24 male. I do not know my friend's husband's age. For context, we are all living together. I am living with them because of a toxic family. My friend is helping me learn to fully take care of myself, as well as help me learn not everything is my fault. We are getting low on food. My friend's husband was complaining on Friday about there not being any food besides macaroni and cheese and potatoes. My friend brought up to him that he was only buying his work lunches and eating whatever their dad brought into the house that was actually meant for them because he had not been helping with groceries. He claimed he didn't make enough to buy food. He makes $400-ish a week. I recommended the food bank since it was the second Tuesday of every month. He said he didn't want to eat that. Me and my friend tried recommending food stamps, but he shut that down. My friend can't file without him, and I have no idea how to file. I gave up on talking to him and used my whole paycheck on stocking the house with as much food as I could instead of saving like I was supposed to be. I even cut down on the quality of dog food I was grabbing so I could buy more food. My friend's dad picked me up from the store and we brought the food home, and I had a good amount of food and drinks to last a while. He got pissed when he saw the food and complained about how I didn't get any real food. I'm mostly vegetarian and my friend has eating issues related to textures, so I bought all safe foods and no real meat because meat was frankly way too expensive. I brought this up, but he said I was being selfish and should have bought the meat anyway and cut out some of my stuff. He wouldn't listen when I explained that I looked at the meat and there was no way I could get meat and provide for everyone with the money I had. I only had $250 to get food for 2 weeks and food for the animals. I hadn't planned on spending the whole $250. I had originally planned on $100 on groceries and $70 on the dogs, so I would have enough to fix some of them. I didn't have enough to cater to everyone, but I did what I could. He's making me feel like an ass. He sold 2 of his consoles and got himself more food, but keeps pouting about how little he could buy with what he got and the fact he only has 1 console left. I feel bad for him having to sell his stuff to get meat. My friend is mad at her husband telling him to be grateful. My brain is saying I fucked up again. I feel like an ass with how he's acting. Adding to this, I don't care if you eat meat. I just feel sick after eating a lot of it, so I gave up and went on a mostly vegetarian diet. I do not care that he eats meat. I just care about the fact that he threw a fit and acts like I did something wrong by not buying the meat when I hadn't even planned to spend that much. I'm not asking for money. I have a job I'm happy with, that I'm happy with. I don't make a lot of money, but I make enough to take care of mine and my friends' pups, and enough where I can eat and afford my share of the bills.
Beggars can't be choosers.
Yeah, not the asshole. I think you really did truly do a great thing. I think there's an unfortunate reality for your friend's husband that in this situation, in this economy, at the cost of groceries, at the explicit cost of meat right now, I don't know what your plan is.
Right.
Or what your expectations are. But I don't know how you expect on what looks like $650-ish a week maximum, unless your friend also works, unless OP's friend also works, the girlfriend of the friend, you know what I mean. I like, even assuming they make another 400-ish a week. So that would bring you up to about $1,050 a week.
Right.
A few years ago, that was a lot of money, and you could have lived well. Times they have changed. Groceries are through the roof.
Right.
Meat is literally one of the most expensive things.
Right.
And it sounds like you're very much going for the whole like steak and potatoes diet.
Right.
I don't know
steak and potatoes money.
Yeah, well, and ultimately without steak money.
Right. Which is debatable. It sounds to me, and this is my point of view, he needs to get off the fucking stick. If he's not making enough money, why does he have 4 consoles?
Well, that was probably purchases when times were better.
No, that was probably purchases when tax refunds came in, when, you know, I'm not paying the electric bill, I'm going to go get this. Drowned it fucking down. One, you know, granted, we have some luxuries, and we have luxuries that people don't see as luxuries, but we do. You know, I have 4 computers I can turn to, but I also work on the business. You know, we keep things in place. We use what we use, but meat prices are crazy. So we buy freezer meals because it's cheaper than the real meal. Sometimes we buy, I do like 75% vegetables, and you make it last. You buy a steak and cut it into 2. Why? Because the steaks are fucking huge. They're cut wrong.
Yeah. Great tip. I grind up mushrooms to mix with small amounts of ground meat to make it stretch. There are things to do. He needs to chill. I'm going to go with not the asshole, OP. Your friend's husband, however, much the asshole. Gift horse mouth. You bought the basics. The basics. I hate that he has had to trade in consoles to buy meat, but quite frankly, I think that's some horrible planning on his part. And not really realizing, like, you need to I hate to tell anyone lower your expectations, but seriously, at $400 a week right now, I don't know what you expect to buy.
Right.
Like, let's get real. I don't know if you're paying rent or you own the home or they own the home, what the deal is. Let's assume they own instead of rent, because that's the only way I see this working at all. So at that, you still, with utilities and gas and God forbid y'all have car payments. Like good effing luck. But with all of that, y'all are living in poverty for 3 adults. That it's getting pretty close to poverty range. Technically, I think you're above poverty range, but not by much. And at these prices, not by anything.
Mm-mm.
Like $4,000 a month is not what it used to be. $3,000, $2,000, not what it used to be.
Right.
So you really have to start reevaluating,
Right.
like, what are you doing? Like, steaks are a treat.
Right.
They're not just what's for dinner.
Right.
You really have to shop sales. You have to be prepared to give up some freezer space when you find a deal. You
Right.
do have to start saving. You have to look at other options. Sometimes, you're not buying bagged chicken.
Right.
You're getting a can and you're getting little bits of flavor of meat.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well,
you
and
work
things that,
through it. You deal.
right. But the other part of this, and this part is like what annoys people when I look at it, and it's like, what are you doing? Where's your money going? They drop. Granted, yes, I am a gamer. We drop like $400 a month on a gaming system. We also make a good amount of money back on that.
Well, it's starting to balance itself out. Like,
Right.
there's a cash in and a cash out, and it's
Right.
starting to equalize a little.
Equalize. But at the same time, if we didn't, if we can't support it, it's gone.
Yeah. Like, if I have to choose between Second Life and food,
Right.
do I look like I miss many meals?
Exactly.
Like,
Well, and I think
but
people
no.
have to learn to cook more country. Sorry, it's the point.
Well, and understanding that like mushrooms are a great substitute, and my God, you can find them on sale.
Yeah.
Because they're a high turnover food. They freeze beautifully.
Beautifully. Yeah.
And low effort. Low effort, may I point out. Just pop it in a Ziploc bag. You can build up a ginormous bag of mushrooms.
Mm-hmm. And cook
It's a great thing.
Yeah.
And it's a great way to add some protein and cut down on some meat.
Right.
Another great thing, and I worry here,
Mm-hmm.
if this is someone who just is a literal meat eater,
Right.
as in steaks, like whole steaks, whole chicken breast, whole whatever,
Mm-hmm.
whole pork chop. But and granted, pork is a great value right now. It's still
Right.
doing pretty decent.
Yeah, it's cold, blowed up.
But I'm thinking this is someone who very much focuses on like the meat, and it's probably all beef, because that's how you're gonna get hit the worst.
Don't buy beef for the summer.
Like, I'm assuming trade-in value on what, 2 consoles?
Yeah. That's about
was
$250.
What, one, maybe
For both. $250.
Yeah. So if that bought you like a week of meat,
they're shopping at Walmart. Point blank, they're shopping at Walmart.
You ought to be. Then you're buying some high-end cuts.
Right.
Like, roll it back a bit.
Right.
You like, starch is going to become your friend.
Yeah.
Like, that's the only way this works. Like, I hope you're not gluten intolerant. Because starch is going to be your friend.
Well, if you're gluten intolerant, flip it up and do beans. Sorry, right. It works.
It does. Vegetables work great. But getting back to the point, if you're trying to do the giant chunk of meat and like, some green beans and mashed potatoes, that's not going to work. Not on what you're making. Like, it's just not. Like, I don't know who told you it would.
Right.
Like, you short-term fixed your problem at great cost. Because you're not going to buy those game consoles back for what you got out of them.
No.
So you're going to spend more later if that's something you want to get back.
Right.
And realistically, I really don't think you had to go that far. So one, I think y'all are doing really horrible at I assume OP's friend is doing a lot better than OP friend's husband. At helping them learn to fully take care of themselves, and that not everything is their fault.
Right.
Because it sounds like the husband is very, I feel confident saying childish.
Right.
Like you're so committed to what you want
Right.
that you're not really considering what you can do.
Right.
Like you're getting very set in your ways, and it is not a time to do that.
No.
For anyone.
Right.
Like, I don't care if you're making $300,000 a year.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a good time to be getting stuck in your ways.
No. And it's a great time to be hitting Dollar General, Odd Lots if they're still open, only $1.
Yeah.
Dollar Tree meals, like, she's amazing with some of the stuff she does.
Well, and you can rebalance your plate.
Mm-hmm.
You can do a lot of things. Like ground beef is one of your less expensive beef options.
Sometimes.
Meatloaf is a wonderful thing.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when you consider how much you're actually going to eat.
Right.
Versus how much most recipes tell you to use.
Exactly.
Like, rebalance it, split it in half, freeze half.
Right.
Like, you really got to plan this out.
Right.
Like, and stop just like, like, I don't know if dying leftovers is a thing in their house or if it's even a problem because they form steak.
Right.
Grill a steak, whatever they however they're staking. But I would think that's probably about what they're doing is 1-to-1 cooking.
Right.
Like cook a chicken breast. And I had that roommate in college.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I say foreman is because he had the Foreman grill. And literally the thing I hated the most was none of us got freezer space.
Right.
Because his mother came once a month.
Right.
And took him to Sam's Club or something.
Right.
And our entire freezer was full of meat.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice cuts of meat. Like I've drooled over that boy's freezer. Or our freezer that he took over.
Mm-hmm.
I drooled at some of the cuts of meat. He ate well.
Right.
And even then, she was dropping some coin for that.
Right.
But that's how he expected to eat every meal.
Right. Mm-mm.
Which was ridiculous to me because it's like, you're a poor broke college student. Okay?
Right.
Like, you have an early 90s Honda.
Right.
Like, you need to tone it down.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like you're a bodybuilder because
right.
He was so slight.
Mm-hmm.
A great guy. He had no clue that he was privileged by any stretch. Really was a good guy. But that's how he ate. That's how he thought everyone ate it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he didn't figure out till the last couple of months we were there that it's like, dude, do you realize we have no room to freeze anything?
Right.
That's all you, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, very confused about how the rest of the world ate. Again, it was funny. But no, I'm going with not the asshole. I think this is an unfortunate situation where your friend wants to help and your friend's husband is in need of help themselves.
Right. And, I'm going to point out, not the asshole, I'm also going to point out that technically you're only supposed to have 4 ounces of meat at a time because your body can't process the rest of it.
Well, and typically it tends to, like, super high protein diets, tend to not be good for you long term.
Right.
Now there's a lot of argument about that, but at the end of the day, it doesn't typically do well.
Right.
So yeah. Oh, meanwhile, work. Oh, I love it. Okay. All right. Let's get to the next one. We'll come back and read comments.
Right.
All right.
All right. Let's move over to psychic advice.
All right. Why do psychic readings keep falling through for me? Can anyone shed some light on why it's been so energetically difficult for me to get a psychic reading? Could there be something in my energy field causing this? I've booked the same psychic 3 times over the past year. The first reading was amazing, accurate, and insightful. However, the next 2 times I booked her, she fell ill, once with COVID, and had to cancel and refund me. I asked if it was an issue connecting to my energy, but she reassured me that it wasn't, just bad timing. Then I tried booking a different reader a while ago, and she completely forgot about my reading altogether. These delays and cancellations have become a weird pattern. Is this kind of thing common? Could there be a deeper reason for it?
Yes, it's very common, and here is why. Psychics are inherently disorganized.
Well, I think I would point out that psychic business has two parts. One part is being a psychic.
Mm-hmm.
The other part is running a business.
Right.
And in the general metaphysical spiritual field,
Mm-hmm.
those are two components that don't normally link together real well for people. They're either great at the business and a horrible psychic, or they're a great psychic and they suck at business. Very rarely do you see a good connection there. That psychic and business come together, or metaphysical and business come together into a nice, stable situation.
Right. And, this is why I spend hours, and I do mean hours, building systems for psychics to follow, coaching psychics on how to follow them, explaining to psychics that no, unless like the world ends, you have an appointment at 7:00. Get on the phone.
Yeah. If you really truly have to cancel, do it soon. Like, do it early and to the best of your ability to not inconvenience people.
Right. But the problem is psychics in general, and this is just in general, tend to be very much in a alpha wave brain pattern most of their life. Planning, scheduling, appointments, managing schedule, managing work hours are very foreign concepts. And then you add in motherhood or fatherhood and husbandhood and wifehood onto those building blocks. And this is why we did the Psychic of the Plans for as long as we did. Is to show that this is what you have to do to be in this business. This is how you click and balance things. This is how you have 50. Like I'm trying to redo the budget so that it looks more easier for people to like, for Joe to sit down and go, okay, there is a payment hitting Friday, Saturday, Thursday. I can go get the car washed.
Yeah. Or what?
ChatGPT could not figure it out.
It is highly complex, especially if you're not just doing private readings, if you're not just at a shop, if you're not just on the networks, if you're not just one thing. Right. If you're on multiple networks, you're also taking private appointments, and you're working hours at a shop, and you're doing events, and you're doing live, yeah. Like the more layers you add to this, the more complicated it gets, and the harder it is to manage. All of it can be great for your business.
Right.
The problem being, you really have to understand how to run a business. And for people that are intuitive, trying to set like boundaries, schedules, it's really hard to do that by just gut instinct. And to pull out of that like gut instinct mentality, that kind of, pull and push situation, to really think through let's assume that most of my customers are not going to be naturally deeply intuitive. Okay, like they believe they're cool with this, but on their own they're not deeply intuitive. Right. They have to work within systems that I've created, right? Within policies that I follow, within schedules I put up, and payment systems that I have created
Right.
to interact with me.
Right.
If you can't do it for yourself,
Mm-hmm.
you at least have to work with someone that can at
Right.
least give you like a boilerplate
Mm-hmm.
and go, look, here's your refund policy, here's your cancellation policy, here's, you know, how you're going to process payments. You're not going to deviate from this.
Right.
You know, and for the love of God, we are hooking up your Google Calendar to software.
Mm-hmm.
And every time your phone dings to alert you 30 minutes and 10 minutes before an appointment, you're going to be maneuvering yourself to a space and a place where you can take an appointment. And then you're going to make sure that's an appropriate place to do an appointment. And you're going to respect the people that are booking appointments with you, their time, their money, their right to privacy, their ability to feel comfortable and confident in your reading.
Exactly.
Like,
and these are concepts that you would think are naturally like born into someone who runs businesses. I know a very lovely lady. She was a CEO for many years, organized the hell out of shit.
Mm-hmm.
Took my reading class, took all my reading classes, went on, took some other ones, then decided she was going to do professional. And suddenly she couldn't keep her life together and came to me and was like, I'm a sucky reader by your standards. And I'm like, yes, you are. You're accurate, but you don't have follow through. You don't do X, Y, Z. You are not doing this. Here's this, and this.
Here's your blueprint.
Mm-hmm.
Do the thing.
Right.
And you can do great. And it is very much one of those things that people have been very successful in business.
Mm-hmm.
Lock into like being a reader or running a metaphysical shop or working with people on an intuitive level.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like that very tangible thing of business skill.
Mm-hmm.
Whoop.
Out the window, past the window, all over the kitchen sink.
Like it just gets a little shell around it and it's inaccessible brain matter. And cracking back through that is sometimes a real challenge. Is that no, it's still a business. Like I know you got into this to help people and to improve their lives and to do all the good. You still have to make money at this. Now one of the other problems that we have run into repeatedly, a lot of people struggle with the idea, like forget that they know how to run a business and can do it. They struggle in the beginning, especially the beginning, with the idea that they can make money at this.
Right.
And you know, or that they should make money at this, or that people should be paying them, or that whatever.
Right.
And they really struggle to even charge for readings. They don't honor, like, it's a 1 hour booking. You get a 1 hour appointment at 60 minutes, your appointment's over. I have worked this appointment in the way that is appropriate so that about 5 to 10 minutes for the end, we are winding that down. I'm making sure you have any last questions. We get those answered and you are out the door.
Right.
Or 15 minutes or 45 minutes or 30 minutes or whatever the appointment length is.
Right.
You have to have a routine here. Like they struggle with that because they feel like they owe you more than what you paid for. Even if you didn't pay for it, they still feel like they owe you, that they have to prove themselves.
Right.
Because the idea that they're professional just won't click. That it feels like a contradiction in terms.
Right. Well, and it recently came up in a meeting because I'm, on a number of boards and we're in conversation. I'm like, no, that isn't the policy. This is the policy. This is what we do. And they're like, but Aeson, you're a different psychic. You're on a different level. And it's like, I'm on no other level than
I'm running a business.
Like,
like psychic's what I deliver. Business is how I deliver it.
Exactly.
It's what we all have to do. Like, I have to do it for computer repair and for website design, and every one of us, if you are in business, you have to act like you're in business.
Right.
But somehow, like, psychics really struggle.
Right.
Like, they really, really do. And like, even once they finally get it, it is really overwhelming to be self-employed.
Right.
And I don't think we give credit enough for that.
Mm-hmm.
One, socially, we don't really accept self-employment.
Right.
Working from home, working, remotely, working, in various locations. We don't accept that as real work. Because you don't have a fixed building that you go to a cubicle and you feel your soul being sucked out of your body. If that's not the experience, you're not really working.
Right.
That's a myth. You can do work from anywhere.
Exactly.
Truly, seriously, you can work from anywhere.
Yeah. Now,
but
if you are an advisor and you're
brain has
struggling
to
in
move.
business, go to aesonknight.com, click on Discovery Call, and book a Discovery Call with me. I will sit down and we will talk about your business and how to run your business. Don't message my social media because you will be sent to the appointment box.
Yes. You'll get the quicker link to get there, but ultimately,
Yeah.
same place. You're going to get
place.
something either which way it goes.
Exactly.
Like, it is what it is. And that's part of it, is understanding that, like, if you have systems to book appointments, you don't sit here and talk in Messenger, because I will guarantee you, I don't care how good of a client they are, if they realize they're talking to actual you, they will try to get some freebies. Maybe enough to not book an appointment. And the reality is, you don't owe anyone doing work for free. Even if it is spiritual work, even if it is metaphysical work, even if it is emotional heavy lifting, even if it is just listening.
No.
You don't owe that to someone for free.
No, you don't. All right, so let's check the poll. And the poll says, you are not the asshole for buying the food you could afford.
There you go. All right,
y'all.
So in our comments, so Shannon says he could have eaten what was provided for him, otherwise he can pay for it himself. I search for deals like 5 packs of meat for $25 sort of things, and meal plan like crazy, and the kids still get 2 to 3 vegetarian-ish meals a week. Work gets annoyed because I want mushrooms on pizza and no one else likes it, and I'm just, the meat on pizza makes me ill, literally, like mushrooms. I like mushrooms to trick my brain. I had fun explaining to my kid's boyfriend that she's a high-maintenance carnivorous plant that eats almost exclusively meat. He has hot wings delivered for her at least 3 times a week, and if she tells him I had a bad day, he sends some for me too.
Oh, nice. Very good. Very nice. Good boyfriend. Nice training there. Yeah.
That's not going to be the one she marries, right? Like, you like him.
No, you make sure you hate that boy every conversation you have about how slumpy his hair is.
Like, he's horrible, and you want nothing more.
Right.
All right. So, of course, we want to thank Beverly Walker, Mika G, Brenda, Joan Owen, Shannon C, Shannon D, Lady Gwendolyn, Caitlin Bell, Devin, Bella, and Maria Meyer. If you'd like to learn more about us, the show, or how you too can become a Patreon sponsor and receive all the wonderful benefits our baristas receive, please visit PCSPnetwork.com. Oh, God, what has she said?
Nah, he's terrified of me.
Oh, that's the best way to keep.
All right, guys, we will see you on Thursday at 9 p.m.
Yay!
Yay! Bye, guys.
Bye.